The United States was an experiment. CHAZ is not. It's not an experiment.
No.
None of these things are experiments. Woodstock, CHAZ, flower power, it's theft. It is theft and it doesn't work. But there's a lot that's gone wrong with CHAZ.
So much.
And the media has totally misportrayed it at every turn to the point. And the reason we wanted to do this, well, we were expecting CHAZ to still be there.
Well.
But we thought it was important that as CHAZ dies in a whimpering silence, we want you to remember this story because the media wants you to forget.
Yeah.
And that's a big mistake that I think Donald Trump made, by the way, in relation to CHAZ. I think he should have sent in the military immediately after the first death.
Really?
Because people saying, well, let's let it self-destruct. That any strategy right now that is predicated on Americans having a long enough memory and that it won't be tainted by the news cycle. If it's predicated on Americans remembering CHAZ and the media being accountable to what happened with CHAZ, I think it's a bad strategy.
Well, I think the funniest thing is how it's ending right now, is that it's just collapsing under its own weight.
But most people don't know right now. That's the problem.
I know.
We know because we're political, we're political junkies, but most Americans will just say, what happened with CHAZ? Yep. And so people would remember what happened with CHAZ after someone gets shot in the park and Donald Trump rains down unholy hellfire on these thugs. And cretins.
I think so. I talked to somebody today who had not even heard of it, and I started telling the story, and they were like, "No, you're serious? Like somebody actually took over like a city? Like part of a city?" It was like a block, and I'm like, "No, like 6 blocks."
But I bet you if you were to ask them about the Seattle Summer of Love, they would remember it because the media. That's how the media portrayed it. And so then when it goes away, they don't talk about it. Here's a couple of claims from CHAZ that are false, and I want to know what you guys think about CHAZ and if you think it's going to go away completely and what you think the ripple effect is. Let me know. I'd love to see you in the comments. First claim they made is that the zone is autonomous. Right? That's what CHAZ
All
was.
of a sudden.
But then it changed to CHOP because I think they realized there could be legal ramifications if they said it's autonomous. It's like, it's an occupational protest.
I mean, it was setting themselves up for failure in the first place. But my understanding
as opposed to this.
Well, a whole different level of failure.
Bill.
And what's interesting is that, even from the very beginning, the idea that it was overtaken, like let's say that it maybe started out as a George Floyd protest, but then within like the first night, it was taken over by, folks who were like, yeah, let's join Canada. I mean, it was just completely different and overtaken from anything related to the core issues that are going on.
But so they said it was autonomous. Here's the truth. CHAZ only ever existed. This is one of the funniest. There are communes that exist. Go out and buy yourself some cheap land. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
That's how you can start a commune. I think Tim Pool is doing it now. And I've considered it.
Could be kind of fun.
I've considered it. I honestly have. And then I'm like, reality. So the problem is doing it on someone else's shit.
Yes,
that's the problem. It's not a commune. And CHAZ only ever existed because it was propped up by the goodwill and works from a capitalist, a free enterprise economy. You have people who were actual contributors. They were donating food, goods, services, and other valuable commodities. Here.
Clearly, I work here now. And there is a sign here that shows what supplies they want.
This, what you see here, was within 24 hours.
On there.
This is called the No Cop Co-op. Literally, I started because I forgot my sign up there. After running for my life. And I came back the next day because I wanted to get it, and I saw this.
Wait, why was she running for her life?
That seems like a better story.
Yeah, let's hear that one.
I asked on Twitter for a tent. 10 minutes later, someone's like, I have one. We got cases upon cases of milk yesterday. The local businesses are bringing pints of ice cream.
Oh, the milk. I'm guessing that didn't come from your CHAZ farm.
Wait, what is it, Ben & Jerry's ice cream? Of course.
Did she just say she was accepting the fruits of the corporate tree?
Small businesses.
Oh, man. I'm glad that she made those glasses herself.
Yes.
I didn't rely on a
and the clothing.
From non-petroleum products.
Yes,
right. Recycled shell of actual turtle.
That's nice.
Like we were talking about, they have been backed up, of course, by their corporate overlords there at CHAZ. And a lot of irony is lost on them because this support, you'd think that at least try and cover it up. And so our young men down there, Corda Black Garrett and even Brendan, did actually help them in checking their corporate privilege and correcting it this morning.
What we're doing is we're covering up the capitalist logos and ideology and all that stuff. So
any free advertising.
Like on the Gatorades and the water bottles, we're just marking off their fucking logos. That's a dirty capitalist right there. Fuck that shit. I'm a vandal.
Febreze, fuck that shit.
Gun Febreze. Participating in getting rid of the capitalist logos on like food and stuff. Yeah, we've been going around all shop and just getting rid of their fucking branding and all that shit.
To the side.
Yeah. Like 6 more minutes. Got him too.
Oh,
man.
Sriracha can't catch a break.
No, making a big difference
There's
though.
that documentary. They want him in the town, then they want to kick him out of the town because it smells like garlic, and then the logo. And the thing is with these CHAZ people, they're just so easy to trick.
They're so stupid.
It's one of the when people are like, no, it's not a slippery slope, this cancel culture, and then you're like, we're canceling everything.
Yeah, but like, no, this is literally a slippery slope because it's covered in bum piss.
Well, ugh.
Even Red Bull fell into the marker. Gosh, they're animals.
Can you imagine living your life where you actually allow someone to guilt you into Sharpieing a Red Bull, which, by the way, won't last because they don't understand the concept of condensation?
Yeah, and the Red Bull's pretty recognizable.
The myth that we've been told about CHAZ, and you just see this, is, and it's important because people might look at this and go, whoa, it was peaceful. They just came up and told you suck. Okay, but what about the fact that in America, right, you can film yourself? Or for example, when people say, hold on, you're fine, it's peaceful, unless you wear a MAGA hat. But in America, you can wear a MAGA hat and people don't have the right to punch you in the face, right? There are no ramifications there. There's no recourse in CHAZ. So it's kind of peaceful during the day before the lights go out. If you agree with them entirely, otherwise they invoke their own non-existent laws to harass people. Let's just actually hear it from Chris Cuomo and the mayor.
I want to just get a clear sense of this, though, Mayor. Why do you believe
He forgot her name.
the president chose to talk about domination?
Started calling her M.
In the face
Thought it was
of what's
Judi
happening,
Dench.
not just in your city, but in many instances when it comes to what the remedy is for the unrest in the country right now? What do you think this is about for him?
I think it shows a complete lack of understanding of why people are in the street. They're in the street fighting a system of domination, and he doesn't understand that. And his response is always one that's bellicose and militaristic, but he doesn't honor the military in that way either, as you've seen from the line of generals that have disputed him. So I think he says dominate because he totally does not understand what is happening in America, and he is desperately trying to start the old fights and the old divisions that put him in power in the first place.
How long do you think Seattle in those few blocks looks like this?
I don't know. We could have the summer of love.
All right, then.
Hey, I don't like the fact that she's downing on the military response because hers was a military response, but the French military.
I don't. So here's the follow-up tweet from the mayor, by the way, more recently. This Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone is not a lawless wasteland. It is a peaceful expression of our. No, that's the original tweet. Do we have the follow-up tweet now, where she's saying that she needs to go in and get rid of the lawlessness? You've heard this from the mayor now. Let's bring that up.
And here's that tweet.
Oh, here's that tweet.
Just to make sure
In the past 2 nights, 3 different people have been shot at the Chop. It sounds like a steakhouse. At the Chop House.
I'd go to the Chop.
Take your tummy to the Chop House. All right, let's go. 2 were injured and 1 has tragically died. Any incidents of gun violence in our city? Well, that's what pissed her off. That was gun violence are deeply concerning to me. Chief Carmen Best, our residents, businesses, and the greater community. By the way, that chief hates you.
As most cops do in Seattle.
And what tipped her off is gun crime. By the way, what do you think happened to the more silent crime? Like beatings, rapes, theft, stabbings. None of those are recorded because the cops can't get in there. So the only crime we know about is the one that you can hear because there's a sonic boom.
It's just loud,
like 2 rams going at it.
Yeah, we talked about that.
She's like, I did not say it was a lawless wasteland of
that's exactly what
I
tweeted out. When people often say this, by the way, someone has blood on their hands. Donald Trump has blood on his hands because he's following the outlined Barack Obama Muslim travel moratorium, right? This lady, this mayor, M, as she's known for short, is as close to a politician having actual blood on their hands as I can imagine in modern times. People are dead because of her.
Exactly.
It's not someone has a policy you disagree with. You've told people to go into a zone that everyone else was saying it's not safe. It's not safe. Stop this. She goes, it's totally safe. Come on down to CHAZ. And then people are like, oh, shit, I got shot. She's like, oh,
leave CHAZ now. It's a different tune, you know.
I like this guy. Oh shit! I got shot. I like that guy.
That's the normal response.
Well, this wasn't his first shooting.
Oh, okay.
Was he high? Maybe.
I don't know, but one person is dead, 3 people are shot.
Ooh.
So people don't. Let's compare this when people say it's summer of love and it's peaceful. Well, what does matter is context.
Yeah.
Something to compare it to. So in the United States, there are 4.46 gun homicides per 100,000 people per year.
Oh, okay.
This comes from the CDC. 4.46 gun homicides per 100,000 people per year. In CHAZ, they've already had multiple shootings of firearms, putting their rate at 500 per 100,000.
So that's more.
Yeah, so that's, I can't do the math, but exponentially more.
Wow. Yeah,
and if you just take into account their actual violent crime rate or firearm crime rate, it's higher than, and I understand CHAZ is a developing nation.
Well, give it time.
I mean, yes. When I say developing nation, it's very generous because it assumes hope.
They are going quietly into the night.
But they have worse violent gun crime than other third world countries.
They do.
Are they a fourth world country?
Do we have that?
I have no idea what
we should have a new category.
I made it up.
Yeah, we should have a new It's like the bargain. What do you have next to the bargain bin? It's just the trash.
It's like free.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say Ross for less. 100 times higher gun ownership. I kind of like that part.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that part.
I think it's death from a firearm is 100 times higher.
Well,
I'm not sure.
But speaking of which, you know what else is actually, because Raz Simone is actually, he's a big fan of firearms.
Oh, is he?
And we're going to get to Raz Simone, the de facto leader here, who provided us wonderful accommodations at Raz Simone's Airbnb. Thank you so much, Raz. You're invited to the house party at your house, by the way. Of course, we would never be so rude as to not include you
that's true.
from from the goings on at your property.
Yeah, you would double the attendance.
Yeah. Sign the guest book too.
He was picking up sushi from his favorite spot near
Right.
the CHAZ, and then he was loading it in his Tesla.
Right.
And then he was gonna stop up, pick up some mixtape USBs or
Yes, along with his
USBs?
AR-15, which reminds me, even Brendan, have the rubber door stop.
Yeah.
Ready.
Just have it ready. Precautionary measure. So Raz himself, by the way, speaking of firearms, he was caught illegally, mind you. When people say crime, so these are just ones that we've caught, illegally handing guns out to people, and including people who cannot, in the state of Washington, have guns. Here he is on camera, handing out an AR-15 from his Tesla to a man who says he's 18.
Are you over the age of 18 know how to use a gun?
He got that fast food from the co-op, just to be clear.
Yeah. The no gun.
Now look how he grabs this firearm here. He's like, what? A real? Oh, you mean like, I thought it was like a cap one. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Oof.
Hell no.
Keep the barrel down.
Hey, keep that down.
What raspberry? By the way, let's bring up the overlay just in case you were wondering. Is that a crime in Washington? Yes, it is.
There it is.
It's a crime. You have to be
Old
21.
Section 13.
And I'm not sure if that's, depending on the state, if it's a felony or a misdemeanor. It depends on how many times you do it. Certainly not legal.
probably most of the time it's a felony.
Yeah.
Just not a great thing.
Not
Now,
a good thing to
would
do.
that be, like, in a court of law, video of Raz handing a firearm to a minor? Would that count as evidence?
That would be evidence.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
So,
that's that's not even a cool like rap boast.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like I gave guns to a kid.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's not really cool.
I gave
Wait, keep going.
Yo,
That's
I
not
gave
very
guns
cool.
to a kid. Then he shot himself. And that's the end of the story. Like, I don't have anywhere to go from here
nowhere to
because it's
go.
actually like, listen, Esther's really it's sad.
It is, yeah.
It's a sad tale to tell on my B-sides, but this is part of my plea.
Wow.
Raz is, by the way, living the American capitalist dream, to be clear. People who are
Yes, he
following this
is.
guy. He's worth between $1 to $5 million. And I
good
know
for
this is
him.
publicly available. And, like, for some reason, I'm on Black Celebrity Net Worth.
Oh, are you?
And it has me listed at, like, $5 million net worth. And it says that I have oceanfront property in Dallas.
Well,
Yeah, this is an actual thing that you can find right now. It says...
that's interesting.
Yeah, it's written by someone from like Bangladesh, like make much money from YouTube video and have waterfront property in Dallas. And there's an old Instagram picture from my grandmother-in-law's lake house from like 8 years ago.
Wow.
So the point is,
That's
I cannot entirely confirm
Sure.
this, but I can confirm that the city of Seattle awarded Raz Simone $83,000, right? A grant to help build his studios, which apparently became somewhat successful. Yeah. And that's where he got all of his luxury cars.
Oh my gosh.
A plethora of high-end luxury rental properties. He has local businesses. Was it Black Umbrella Inc. is one, the Aurora Smoke Shop. Okay.
Yeah, you know.
Commodity Properties LLC, and of course he's a super host there at Airbnb.
Yeah,
that takes
stars.
effort.
Commonly referred to as New CHAZ.
Only because it's been taken over.
I like his support of capitalism.
Yes, I do too.
appreciate it.
Did he just start hating the man, or because the man's been pretty good to him? It seems.
Who?
So,
Raz?
Yeah.
Well, Raz is the man.
Well, now he is.
Yeah, Raz is the
No.
man.
He's always been the man.
Yeah, he's always
been.
Yeah.
He's
Okay,
gamed
yeah,
the
well.
system. He got an $83,000 grant.
build
How does that happen? To build a studio?
I'm going to apply for.
I mean, if you ever just wanted, if you were just in you had a strong desire to give money away that you were almost guaranteed you'd never see again.
the people of Seattle have to be happy.
$83,000 for That's So Raz Studio.
I liked it.
I'd be like, I would take my money going,
and just let it fly away.
Yeah, it's like you build a police precinct and then let the mob take it over.
Right, exactly.
I mean, so at least they're being consistent.
But if it was ever yours to begin with, you should let it go, and it's covered in penises. So it's just covered in penises.
That's right.
It doesn't work with this saying.
It's going to take a lot of paint.
So Raz, as said, Raz Simone, again, the host of New CHAZ, we appreciate him being so generous. He's gone on record saying that all he wants is peace. Let's see the clip.
Being on the ground, it's been a bunch of peaceful humans who are upset about all the injustices that they've been seeing, and specifically towards black people right now.
Is Raz under that pile of laundry?
I think so.
Gotcha.
It's like when we have warm clothes and Betty, she's in it. You're like, Betty, you really love laundry. Are you comparing him to a dog? No, I'm not comparing him to a dog. Stop with all of them and they. But by the way, do you think he had to say humans because people offended somebody?
Probably so.
Like just
I
a
think
group
so.
of mammals,
Embodied
mammals who walk on 2 feet and have a conscience.
The sentient being.
Well, no, because all beings are sentient. I mean, like, have the ability, I am a human, therefore I is.
That is so deep.
And I would like another grant. More money, please. Here he is. So he's talking about peaceful humans. Well, here he is, actually. His latest video features graffiti that says, a good cop is a dead cop. So seems like it's not a literal. When he said peaceful, he didn't mean literally.
Well, he doesn't consider cops to be humans, I think, is the thing.
Exactly.
So, that's
I don't know. He listened to the White Album one too many times.
So wait, why did we send Brendan to New CHAZ then?
It was Brennan's call.
It really was. He thought it was the safer option. Oops. Sorry.
Speaking of which, as a sensible man, here's a video of Raz physically attacking someone while live streaming. Someone was live streaming from CHAZ.
That's not the case. I'm not trying to create dissension. I'm a peaceful man. I know you're a peaceful man. I'm not, bro. I'm not even near what you're hearing, though. Huh? You're not hearing that. Why are you doing that? Huh? I said you're not hearing that. So why are you doing that? Bro, I'm not trying to put no dissension.
This is an engaging conversation.
The only thing I said is on the tape. Look, let's stop the stream. I'll stop the stream right now.
Whoa.
Oh.
That stream did not end up at the Taco Bell drive-thru.
No. Very peaceful, though. Very, very peaceful.
So this is what will upset Raz's own audience, I think, is that they think of Raz as woke. Right? Black Lives Matter.
He has to be.
He's got to be woke.
Yeah.
I don't think that we've ever even come close to broaching the level of homophobia that Raz has put out on public for all to see.
Really?
And by the way, of course, everything you're about to see, he'll claim he was hacked. No, he was not hacked. We can confirm. So this is actually he's feuded with he's beefed with other rappers.
Oh no!
Which is funny when I was doing research. Something that was like a pro Raz that was like he's beefed with other rappers like Macklemore. It's like. Really? It's like me right now being like, yo, Mike Tyson's a bitch. He's ducking me. Raz is feuding with Macklemore.
Macklemore is the Mike Tyson of rap. I'm
just saying, it's like anyone can call it. It's like when people have like 4 subscribers or like, why didn't Crowder debate? It's like, because you're an egg.
Yeah, four.
You're an egg with an underscore in your call sign. Raz went on to say, I just wanted to fit in a jab at, he went on, he's been beefing with rappers, but this is the actual rapper who's at his level. And he actually, this is a Raz tweet. I was always leery of like, does he mean what he's saying? Talking about another rapper. Is he culturally appropriating gay people? Does he really care about the communities that he's speaking about? And then he went on to say, can I say this, or are we going to get banned from YouTube?
I think you have
You're
to.
going to get banned. It's fine.
Okay, I'll show it to you, where he's talking about this other rapper who I guess may or may not be gay, just filled with human fluid, queer ass, and then he wrote, you get to being a rapper is being the poster boy for the fig-it community and bragging, there ain't no figs in my family, wouldn't give up the ass hole and wouldn't smash. Now, what's most offensive to me is that's nonsensical.
It really is. I'm not sure.
If you're going to commit a hate crime, laser in. Laser in, Raz.
Yeah.
People need to know who you hate. You can't just dirty bomb your hatred.
You read some Strunken White. I mean, come on.
Yeah, get it together.
Elements of style.
You know what? Chinese are lazy. No one's going to buy that. Go ahead.
I was going to say, by the way, I love that the first thing that these guys did was build a wall, arm people at the wall, and then selected Raz as their leader. These are thinking people, right? Or allowed him to take them over.
I think what really just happened is I think there was a black man in Raz.
Yeah.
In CHAZ, sorry. Raz. I get it.
It's so close.
It's all so stupid.
They were made for each other.
Yeah. Where I just think he stood up, he's like, CHAZ is mine now. Your CHAZ belongs to me. And they're like, all right.
We saw the movie. You're right.
I guess. Okay. This is how it's going to, all right, that's how it's going to be. And then when someone got shot and the mayor was like, well, actually, now it's not Summer Love. You have to leave. They're like, okay, all right, we'll leave. And so I was like, no, stay. Like, make up your mind.
I guess we got to stay.
If ever you wanted to see the opposite of individual thinking,
yeah, exactly,
it was CHAZ. I mean, you'd think that one individual would know how to farm. I mean, like garden. Like, you can't find one person with a green thumb. Just one person who's like, hey, that pot that you put in your plant, it doesn't have any dirt in it. And someone would be like, oh, we need dirt?
I thought it was cardboard.
And then someone could just be like, yeah, you should probably put some dirt in that and some water. And then they wouldn't all have to die.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? It would be easier. I do have a question about who's going to, once eventually the summer of love is over, which everyone knows in Seattle, summer really lasts like 3 days.
Right.
And so maybe, kind of if you adjust for that climate. But who's going to pay to clean up the East Precinct? Who's going to pay to clean up the
feces,
the field where Quarter Black bitched out and left? Because that guy
like
wearing
we're sending
the
him
Tommy
mixed
Hilfiger.
messages.
We are, yeah.
Because Gerald is cowardly, and then you want to you want him to die. No, I really do have a problem that this has been allowed to take root in the United States of America. What do we have? 50-something businesses now suing the city of Seattle.
Yeah,
I hope they win.
Yeah, oh, they should.
I hope they win. This is a direct effect of, and this is one thing too, like you can see, I've always said I will never run for office unless like maybe it would be like mayor, maybe governor, because you can have a direct effect. It would be funny, but I would only ever do it if I thought I could improve a city, because you can actually, there can be a net effect directly attributable to your actions.
Right.
And in this case, we have a woman who said, CHAZ is great, Summer of Love, go on down to CHAZ, and we have businesses destroyed, and at least 3 people shot. God knows how many bodies are hidden there. And we had a complicit media, and just the reason this is so important is because it's a microcosm of exactly what will happen with the violent protests. Just like now they're trying to blame the coronavirus cases on a rally. They try to blame it the same day as the rally.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think we get test that quickly.
Right. They're not putting that on any of the violent protests where people are not wearing masks and screaming at cops. Thank God they have sneeze shields. I do find it remarkable. They've just completely forgotten about CHAZ when it's closed. They just they won't cover it. And that's what's going to happen with the protests as they go away.
Of course.
And the history books won't remember the billions of dollars in property damage, the dozens of lives lost, the hundreds of officers who were seriously injured. This is important because CHAZ was the most extreme example of the experiment that is socialism in the United States, though really it wasn't. But you see it never, ever, ever works. And of course, what will they say about CHAZ? Well, it just wasn't the right person.
Of course.
It wasn't the right person who did it. Raz wasn't the right leader. Let's toss him into the pile along with Stalin and Mao and Hitler and Che Guevara and Maduro and Chavez.
That's a lot of them.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone who has ever tried socialism ever.
Yeah.
Let's just throw them in there. That's what's going to happen. And it's remarkable to me because our kids will probably be looking back on, just like people look back on Woodstock. Finally,
guarantee you.
Woodstock was just a bunch of people who were drugged out, raping in the mud. I'm sorry, you remember it as something that it wasn't.
We have video evidence that it was not what you think.
If you actually knew what the evil and the violence and the unrest that the flower power era brought back then, that most people hated, you would want to see that daisy and the rifle going out the back of his hand.
That's terrible.
No, it's not terrible. Some people don't understand what happened back then. Kids wanted to go to their schools, and they were being shouted down, and they were being attacked. Woodstock, there were all kinds of reported rapes that were never investigated. In the original Woodstock, people think, well, that was only 99. No, crime was worse. Crime was worse in that era than in the late 1990s.
No, I guarantee
and
you're right.
people look back on CHAZ and say, well, it was mostly peaceful. How many people were shot?
Yeah, they'll just kind of...
5? How many people were shot in the rest of the country at that point, like per capita? 100 times less. 1/100th, but you say tomato, we f***ed up. So...
I think you're right. I think we will look back in history on this, and it will be some kind of pared down version. Says, oh, this was an experiment. This was something that people were trying to say that freedom matters again, right? And it was this peaceful thing. It was a summer love. We'll hear all those quotes, but none of the bad stuff. None of the deaths, none of the beatings, none of the people who couldn't live their life. Can you imagine being a white guy that lives in the middle of CHAZ and you have to leave to go to work? Are you kidding me? You walk out.
Well, there's a lot of white people there.
Well, I know there's a lot of white people there, but at night, that guy was like, yeah, come down here and walk around sometimes, and I hate going through this place. Like, there was an element of fear just to walk through there at night.
Well, it's not because he's a white guy. It's because he's not a member of CHAZ. Yeah, CHAZ is mostly white, but they make you kneel for black people. That's my point.
Gerald is
I would have to just fake like I was
Gerald is afraid for him.
I'm just like, I'm one of the nice white people. Hold on, right here.
Your whiteness is really a huge part of your identity.
It really is.
It's all you have.
Steven, I just want to make sure I'm
is white and wine.
Well, and tall. I have tall.
Yeah. So. It's so sad. But I do hate it when they say experiment. No. Yeah. It's not experimenting if it's somebody else's stuff. You know what was an experiment? The United States of America. People don't understand. That was a great experiment. When people say we need to return to European-style socialism, guess what? That's why we left. And I know they'll say, well, modern European socialism versus a monarchy. No, centralized government, a Church of England, any kind of state-enforced denomination, taxation without representation, over-taxation, no freedom of speech, which doesn't exist in Europe, people not having the right to bear arms to protect themselves from a tyrannical government, no fail-safes. The United States was an experiment. CHAZ is not. It's not an experiment. No. None of these things are experiments. Woodstock, CHAZ, flower power, it's theft. It is theft, and it doesn't work. And by the way, if you're conducting a scientific experiment, you start off with a hypothesis, and if it's proven verifiably false, you abandon it. Every time socialism or some kind of a CHAZ-like commune has been tried, it's been proven verifiably false, and I hate that probably our grandkids will learn that it was just something. By the way, if you ever want to have a counter argument, some people try and say, "Oh, socialism has worked." What they try and point to is Catalonia.
Catalonia.
Catalonia in before the Russians came. Was it 36? It might have either ended in 36. It was in the 1930s.
Like 2 years.
I think it was for about 2 years. It was CHAZ. Okay, they go. It was an socialist anarcho syndicate. I think is what they say.
Oh, wow.
And I think we were going to do a whole segment on it. And they were like, no one cares about this. Because no one should care about CHAZ in a few years. But when people try to point to some example that you look into it, and they're all CHAZ.
Yeah.
CHAZ is just the newest in a long line of many CHAZs.
Right.
As a matter of fact, every time a CHAZ-like situation has been tried, it's always ended up like CHAZ.
Yeah.
Hey there, YouTuber. If you like this video, click one of these other videos playing in a box up there and hit subscribe or the notification bell if you're already subscribed so you can find out about our new non-controversial videos, which don't ruffle any feathers and, of course, are not a violation of YouTube's algorithms. Everyone's welcome here. Except I don't know if we are. But it's our channel. I'm not sure how that works.